We were doing displacement. As
Yes,
it
ma'am, you
is clear by
explained that.
name, and write down the topic in your notebook, displacement reaction.
Written the topic, ma'am.
Okay, after that write down its definition, and then we will write example. Displacement reaction, the chemical reaction in which an element displaces another element from its solution. The chemical reaction in which an element displaces another element from its solution. Have you written, Thanya?
Done, ma'am.
After that, what I am telling you, iron nail is dipped in copper sulfate solution. Then ferrous sulfate is formed. That's why color of blue solution will be faded and copper will be deposited as a brown deposition on iron nail. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you will do, you will write this reaction FeS, copper sulfate, it is aqueous solution. It will give ferrous sulfate, which is also aqueous, and copper, it is in solid form. And after that, read activity 9, activity 1.9. Tanya, have you written the reaction?
Just a second, ma'am.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. One more thing, Tanya, here. Iron is more reactive than copper. That's why it displaces copper from copper sulfate solution. Are you getting?
Yes, ma'am.
Now read activity 1.9.
Take 3 iron nails and clean them by rubbing with sandpaper. Take 2 test tubes marked as A and B. In each test tube, take about 10 milliliters of copper sulfate solution. Tie 2 iron nails with a thread and immerse them carefully in the copper sulfate solution in test tube B for about 20 minutes. Keep one iron nail aside for comparison. After 20 minutes, take out the iron nails from the copper sulfate solution. Compare the intensity of the blue color of copper sulfate solutions in test tubes A and B. Also compare the color of the iron nails dipped in the copper sulfate solution with the one kept aside.
Aside. So are you okay with this activity?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here what will happen? Iron nail taken out from copper sulfate solution. So we can observe it is here brown deposition. Here copper sulfate solution test tube A. Actually we are taking one without activity and one with activity so that we can compare. Here also one without activity and one with activity so that we can compare the intensity. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now write down, the nail becomes brownish. The nail becomes brownish in color and the blue color of copper sulfate solution fade. The nail becomes brownish in color and the blue color of copper sulfate solution fade. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Tanya, suppose in examination you are getting this topic in as a long question. Okay, so you have to prepare this diagram also. So what you do, prepare this diagram in your notebook after the class. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now next reaction actually, in which what we will do, it is same as we have done iron. No need to write, I am only telling. Iron, it is in solid form. Copper sulfate solution aqueous gives ferrous sulfate aqueous and Cu solid. And this reaction is known as displacement. Why, Tanya? Because
Because the more reactive iron
subs
displaces the
copper
copper.
from the copper sulfate solution. That's why this is known as displacement reaction. Okay, so here
Yes.
iron is more reactive than copper. Next, other examples of displacement reaction. Write down. Write down other example. When zinc, it is taken in solid form, copper sulfate in aqueous form. So zinc sulfate aqueous and copper it is in solid form. Also lead, it is in solid form. Copper chloride, it is in aqueous form. It will give lead chloride aqueous plus copper solid. So here what we learn, that iron is more reactive than copper, Zn also more reactive than copper, and lead also more reactive than copper. All displaces copper from its solution. Okay, Thania?
Yes, ma'am.
Written also.
Yes, ma'am.
Now next is double displacement. As we got in displacement, one element displaces the another one. Double displacement means one this one and another like this one. Okay, write down the heading double displacement. From here I will let you know, like barium, it will come in the place of sodium and sodium will come in the place of barium.
So
Ba-
in double displacement, they're just switching the places,
to,
interchanging places.
yes,
Two.
definitely. It is double displacement only. In place of sodium, barium will come. In place of barium, sodium will come. Okay, write down the heading double displacement. Written,
Yes, ma'am.
लिखिए double displacement, the reaction in which two atoms or group of atoms are mutually exchanged. The reaction in which two different atoms or group of atoms are mutually exchanged. After that, give this example. Here in figure 1.9, what is going on? Here, test tube containing solution of barium chloride. Here, test tube containing solution of sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate is Na2SO4. Barium chloride is BaCl2. When sodium sulfate is added in barium chloride, barium sulfate is formed and sodium chloride. It is aqueous solution. It is also aqueous solution. Barium sulfate solid is formed and sodium chloride also in aqueous solution. Written, Thanya?
Just a second.
Okay, okay. After writing down, let me know.
Done, ma'am.
After that, Thanya, here, Thanya, we can observe that barium sulfate, it is in solid form and also its color is white. It is known as precipitate. It is formed in the bottom. Its color is white. Okay, and it is insoluble. Here it is formed and it is insoluble in water. It is known as precipitate. So, below the reaction, write down a white substance which is insoluble in water is formed. This insoluble substance formed is known as precipitate. Okay, Thanya?
Yes, ma'am.
And after that, you have to write heading precipitation reaction, in which you will write any reaction that produces a precipitate can be called a precipitation reaction. Written, Thanya?
1 second, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Okay. So, Thanya, we are doing double displacement reaction. In double displacement reaction, we have seen two elements are displaced. Like here, sodium with barium and barium with sodium. So what happened? A white substance which is insoluble in water, it is also formed and it is known as precipitate. So this reaction in which precipitate also formed, also known as precipitation reaction. Are you completely okay with the topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Actually these topics are only by name. Displacement, one element is displaced. Double displacement, two elements are displaced. Insoluble solid is formed, it means precipitate is formed. If precipitate is formed, it means it is precipitation reaction. Okay. Now,
Yes.
Tanya, we have to write this line also for explanation. I am highlighting the white precipitate of barium sulfate formed by reaction of sulfate and barium ion The other product formed is sodium chloride, which remains in the solution. Such reactions in which there is an exchange of ions between the reactants are called double displacement reaction. So here in barium sulfate, two ions, barium and sulfate, sodium chloride, it remains in solution. There is exchange of ion between the reactants are called double displacement.
Okay, ma'am.
Written?
No, ma'am, I'll have to write this one.
Okay, okay, sure. Done, Thanya?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now here in next example, what they are saying, recall activity 1.2. Firstly, we will go activity 1.2. This is 1.3. This is this one. Tanya, read this activity. Activity 1.2.
Take lead nitrate solution in a test tube. Add potassium iodide solution to this. What do you observe?
What do you observe? Here, lead nitrate solution and potassium iodide is added. So here, Tanya, I am repeating this, lead nitrate with potassium iodide. So what we observed? Lead is displaced by potassium and potassium is displaced by lead, and KNO3 is formed and PbI2, it's precipitate, it is in insoluble solid form. So this is also precipitation reaction. Are you okay with it, Tanya?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it's also double displacement, right?
Yeah, it's also double displacement reaction. And we have done this in change in color. If we are observing change in color in any reaction, so it is chemical reaction. Okay, so
Yes.
we can write this example in change in color. We also write this example in double displacement. So write it down, PbNO3 whole twice. I will write in proper way for you. This. So write here PbNO3 whole twice. This is in aqueous solution plus 2Ki. This is also aqueous. It will give PbI2 aqueous plus 2KNO3. So this is lead nitrate. This is potassium iodide. This is lead iodide. And this one is potassium nitrate. And we are getting precipitate of PbI2. Sorry, by mistake I have written here aqueous. It's precipitate. Actually, it is insoluble in water. It is in precipitate form, so we cannot write AQ here, aqueous here.
Done.
Done. Thania, are you completely okay with displacement reaction and double displacement and also precipitation?
Yes, ma'am.
Here, write down the next topic, that is oxidation and reduction. Oxidation and reduction. So firstly we will write for oxidation.
With the heading, ma'am.
For oxidation you will write oxidation is the gain of oxygen or loss of hydrogen. Oxidation is the gain of oxygen or loss of hydrogen.
Done, ma'am.
Next is reduction. Sorry. Reduction is just opposite of oxidation. Reduction is the loss of oxygen or gain of hydrogen.
Done, ma'am.
Reduction is the loss of oxygen or gain of hydrogen. Below that, write down the example. In example, you can write 2Cu plus O2 gives, on heating, it will give copper oxide. When copper oxide reacts with hydrogen, it will give copper is separated and water molecule is formed. Okay. Can I start explanation?
Yes, ma'am.
Write down. When copper is heated, a black color appears. When copper is heated, a black color appears.
Yes, ma'am.
This is due to the formation of this is due
Copper oxide.
copper oxide, black copper oxide, copper 2 oxide. Here it is written. So for this one is the reaction 2Cu plus O2. On heating, it will give 2CuO.
Next.
Next is if hydrogen gas if hydrogen gas is passed over this heated material CuO, the black coating on the surface if hydrogen gas is passed over this heated material CuO, the black coating on the surface turns browns as the reverse reaction takes place.
Ma'am, the black coating on the.
Black coating on the surface turns brown as the reverse reaction takes place and copper is obtained.
Done, ma'am.
And after that we can write this reaction. Actually we already written CuO plus H2 gives Cu plus H2O. Okay, Thanya, after that write down. Here Thanya, if the substance gains oxygen during a reaction, it is said to be oxidized. किसी substance को oxygen add हो गया, then it is said to be oxidized. And if it loses oxygen, then it is said to be reduced. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Who
write
should I
down.
write this down?
Yes, definitely. If a substance gains oxygen during a reaction, if a substance gains oxygen during a reaction, it is said to be oxidized. If a substance loses oxygen during a reaction,
Written, ma'am.
written, it is said to be reduced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In this reaction, what is happening? Tanya, copper
Yes.
2 oxide is losing oxygen in this reaction. This one is losing oxygen, so it is being reduced,
Okay.
and hydrogen is gaining oxygen, so it is being oxidized. So you write this one Firstly, write down this reaction. Firstly, write down this reaction, and after
Okay.
that, I will let you know how we will write.
Written, ma'am.
Okay. After below this one, write down copper to oxide. This one we have to note down. Copper to oxide is losing oxygen and is being reduced. The hydrogen is gaining oxygen and is being oxidized.
Ma'am, so both of these happen simultaneously
Yes,
in
yes. And
reaction?
these type of reactions are known as redox reaction.
Okay.
We will write. Firstly, you write down this one.
Ma'am, was the second point after losing oxygen when is being reduced? The
The,
hydrogen?
the hydrogen is gaining oxygen and is being oxidized.
Okay. Done, ma'am.
In other words, you write down only next line. One reactant gets oxidized while the other gets reduced during a reaction. Such reactions are called oxidation reduction reactions or redox reaction. One reactants get oxidized, other gets reduced during a reaction. Such reactions are called oxidation reduction reactions or redox reaction.
Ma'am, done.
Done. After that, uh, Tanya, have you written this one also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After that, write down some other examples of redox reaction. Some other
Okay.
examples of redox reaction. ZNO plus C gives Zn plus CO.
Written, ma'am.
One more thing, Tanya. In this reaction, oxygen is removed and here oxygen is added. So ZNO is being reduced and carbon is being oxidized. Are you okay with it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now next, MnO2 plus 4HCl gives MnCl2 plus 2H2O.
MnO2 is being reduced.
Yes, and hydrogen is being oxidized.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to give explanation also. Write down. Carbon is oxidized to CO and ZNO is reduced to Zn.
Done, ma'am.
And HCl is oxidized to Cl2, whereas MnO2 is reduced to MnCl2.
Written, ma'am.
Written? Okay.
Yes.
Now recall activity 1.1. Thania, read it. We will not write anything for it, but only we will read it. This activity and give me
Yes.
answer.
The activity 1.1, where a magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling flame in oxygen and changes into a white substance, magnesium oxide, is magnesium being oxidized or reduced? Now it's being oxidized.
Oxidized because oxygen is added. Now next topic is corrosion and after that last topic rancidity.
Ma'am, actually, can I leave now, ma'am? I have my class at 8. I need to prepare for it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, Thania. Tomorrow same timing.
Yes, ma'am.